La Crosse, Wisconsin is a great place to live, work, and play. The City of La Crosse 2020 Vision podcast were set up to talk about things in the future. However, in the time of crisis, in the time of the COVID-19, we needed to talk about what's going on around us today. Mayor Tim Kabat is our guest. And Mayor, we're in unprecedented times now with the COVID-19 and basically the shutdown of not only, neighborhoods, cities, states, the country is basically shut down, Mayor.
Yeah, it really is. I would agree. It is an unprecedented time in our lives. I know that, more than 100 years ago when they were dealing with the Spanish influenza back in 1918 and all that, it was probably somewhat of a similar situation, but there's not a lot of us alive back then. So for all of us living today, it really is something that we've never experienced before. And I am, one of the things that I'm really impressed with our city and really our larger area, community, is that people are taking this seriously, and they are really trying to do the right things by staying home and limiting, just interaction and only making essential travel. So I do think if we all just stay strong and keep these efforts up, we'll be able to get back to normal a little bit quicker.
Mayor, what is the City of La Crosse doing in order to help the citizens?
A few areas, as you can imagine, are critical services, the emergency response and law enforcement, and our streets and things like water and sewer service, our garbage pickup and recycling, our transit service. Those things are staying pretty much as is. There's been a few changes to those services, but for the most part, those are operating as they normally would, and those are critical services that, the community relies on, having clean drinking water and waste disposal and all that. So those efforts really continue. We've made some changes to how we staff and provide those services. So we've been really, we've gone to some split shifts and changes to schedule so that we don't have all of our team operating in the same place at the same time. The goal is really to kind of spread them out and to have some folks that are on call versus being, either in the office or in the field. So we've made those changes, but I think for the most part, that's not something that you would notice if you're turning on your tap for water or, your weekly garbage pickup or whatever. Those things, again, are going on as planned. And then the other efforts that we've done, we're treating this obviously as a public health emergency. So we've gone to our emergency operations center and in a different structure for how the city is organized. Our fire chief and police chief are our emergency managers, and they really have stepped up to take the lead. And so we do have a group that's still working on our city operations, but we've added, folks now that work on logistics. So trying to find and secure that personal protective equipment and other, supplies and things that we can help with our healthcare providers to secure, whether that's, again, masks or gloves or gowns or, whatever the case may be, hand sanitizers and those types of things. So we've really focused on trying to balance, keeping our services going, but then also just making sure that our public and our employees are, that there's very limited exposure and we're keeping them safe.
Mayor Tim Kabat and I talking about the COVID-19. And Mayor, are you surprised with the size of our community and how we've done better than other communities our size at stopping the spread and at having a slower amount of growth of people that have the COVID-19 virus?
Yeah, I've been very impressed with that. And I don't know that I'm necessarily surprised, but I do feel like we have, as I had said earlier, people taking this very seriously and really trying to follow the governor's safer at home order and people staying home and keeping those social distancing and good hygiene practices when they are having to go out. So I'm hopeful that we can keep this momentum going. I mean, as we sit here and talk today, I believe we're at 26 cases, and fortunately we've not had any deaths here in La Crosse County, and I think just about everybody that has been a confirmed case has recovered. So we want to keep that going, and again, it's really because as the other places around the country and really around the world have experienced. If people stay at home and avoid crowds and practice social distancing, and now the advice out there to wear masks when you're out in the public and those types of things, people are doing that, and I think that's why we're seeing such good results here in La Crosse County, is that we do have a lot of folks that are, they're still having to do their thing, whether that's essential work or travel for groceries or whatnot, but we're doing good here, and I hope we can keep it up. I hope we'll start to see those numbers now actually start to go down at some point.
Mayor, one of the big questions that I think that a lot of people have is there's a lot of small businesses that are based in La Crosse and that are run out of homes and out of some of the great spaces that we have here in La Crosse. What is the city of La Crosse doing to help out those small businesses?
Well, we knew early on, especially when the governor's order closed the bars and restaurants, we knew that there was going to be a lot of hardship and a lot of people hurting big time. As you said, Bob, we've got one of the things that makes La Crosse just such a special place is the amount of businesses that we have that are here owned locally, that, people in our community are the owners. And so we knew that this was going to be some very dire times for those owners and then obviously for the employees. So we started to reach out. We have great staff in our planning and development departments. They started reaching out to businesses early on, really trying to just understand the impacts and then what things the city could do to help out. And so we have put together a grant program, not a large amount of money, but hopefully enough funding to get people, kind of buy them some time and get them over the hump until the larger efforts from either the federal government or the state government kick in. But we've got up to a maximum of $25,000 per business grant funding to help people out. So the city council approved that last week, and I think our big challenge is just going to be the number of businesses that we've already heard from. I think the last count, we've heard from more than 100 businesses here in La Crosse that are interested in that assistance. And so we'll have to obviously see how far our dollars can go. That's one of the things that, again, we really wanted to show our business community that the city of La Crosse, is standing with them as much as we possibly can and helping them and helping their employees. All of the links for that information are on the city's website at cityoflacrosse.org. So, if people have more information or questions or whatever, they can go right there. And then between Andrea and Jason and our planning department, they're point people and really trying to work with folks on that. Because I think some of the challenges, the SBA loans and some of those things can be very bureaucratic. And with our program, we're really just trying to make it, we're not trying to oversimplify it, but to make it just very straightforward so that there's not a lot of hoops to jump through.
Mayor Tim Kabat, do you have any words of encouragement for the community as a whole?
Staying home, being really diligent and strong. Even myself, I know there are times when I think we're all going just a little stir crazy being inside, but it is for the larger good, because there are people, even though, most people are healthy and are fine, there are people out there that, if they get exposed to this and catch this virus, it's going to be very difficult for them. So we want to stay strong and we're really all in this together as a community. And I encourage our residents to continue those efforts. Again, I've just been so impressed and thankful that people are taking this very seriously and doing their absolute best. So I think I wish everybody that they're healthy and safe and continue to practice these the social distancing and good hygiene, and we will get through this together.
The Year of Vision 2020 Conversations with Department Heads from the City of La Crosse is a podcast4hire.com production. For more information about La Crosse, visit the website cityoflacrosse.org.